Hey, folks, it's Kary Oberbrunner with Blockchain Life. I have with me a great guest today named Josh. Josh, tell us your last name because I want to pronounce it exactly right. Is it literally just Sansbank?
No, sorry, that's my that's my company. My name is Josh Emison, Emison.
That's it, man. So I already messed it up, but it's Josh Emison. I see it now in the top left corner. My bad.
Yeah.
And your company is Sansbank.
Yes.
It's about yourself and the company related to blockchain and Web3.
Yeah, for sure. So I got into blockchain maybe a little over 2 years ago. A lot like many other people, where they saw the numbers going up and they're like, okay, I got to understand this thing. And I was really interested on the technology side, right? So just kind of going deep on how it works, why people are getting so excited about it, other possible use cases, and just like a lot of other blockchain people, right? It's just what was online. Nobody was really, there's no not so many great books and all that stuff. You just have to read online. So I really went deep. And I also at the same time was looking into real estate and taking different real estate courses and things like that. And just saw that there was a problem with people investing in real estate. And I was like, man, this blockchain thing, you can use it to be compliant with securities, right? Outside of the crypto piece, you can use it to fractionalize assets. You can use it to, a record of everything that's immutable. And it all just kind of made sense to apply it to the real estate world. And I think a lot of other people are going that route as well.
That's right. I totally remember talking to you via email. You're going to blow our minds on what fractionalization is with property. Talk about that, because a lot of people don't even understand that you can turn property into non-fungible token assets that then you can have ownership, partial ownership.
Yeah, so you can do it through NFTs, non-fungible tokens, or you can do it through what's called a security token. So the SEC, right, anytime you fractionalize anything, right, they do what's called the Howey test. And what the Howey test is, it's 4 questions. And it's, okay, are other people putting money towards something, right, that in the pursuit of profit, and it's based off of the efforts of other people, right? And if all those things are true, then the SEC says that's a security, right? And here's all these things that you have to do to comply with the security. And a lot of people originally thought, this is the blockchain. We don't need to do any of that stuff. And you saw like the Ico Craze in 2017, 2018. And some of those guys got fined. I think there's some of them were in jail because they were misrepresenting securities, and a bunch of people lost money. So it became this really big deal, right? And so security tokens came out, and they're like, okay, what are all the rules? Because whatever is happening now, we can do it better with the blockchain. And all it does is it's taking usually some sort of entity, right? And it's fractionalizing the ownership of that entity, and it's automatically complying with the regulations.
Wow. Okay, so basically, people got too excited too fast, thought that there was no legislation, found out the hard way, and now they've kind of leveled back out, and they've created the ability to do this, but legally.
But legally, yeah. So a lot of it falls under the old security laws, right? Whether it's crowdfunding or there are these things called Regulation D, which says either you have to be an accredited investor or you have to know the issuer, or Regulation A+, which is kind of like a mini IPO where you can raise up to $75 million with just regular people. There's a bunch of things you have to follow. And it's just the security tokens help you, as long as you file that paperwork, they help you maintain the back end, which is usually really expensive because there's a lot of lawyers involved. But when you use smart contracts, right, which are just programs on the blockchain, then you can automate all of that compliance. And then you get to do cool things like, oh, I can sell this to other people without a lawyer involved because the blockchain is going to ensure that it's compliant. I don't need a lawyer to look at it.
Wow.
Yeah, so you do a lot of cool things with it.
Okay. So my audience are authors, entrepreneurs, and influencers. What do you think appeals to them in this conversation?
Yeah, so to the entrepreneurs, So it's authors, entrepreneurs. What was the other one?
And influencers.
Influencers. Yeah. So I think this is let's back up, right? So the security market is trillions of dollars worldwide, right? And the blockchain is instant settlement, right? Right now, security markets are settling in 2 or 3 days, which cause a bunch of extra money to be spent. It's just a headache for the issuers. So if they want to,
and settling could mean that they need to verify there's no liens on a property. Is that what you're talking about?
So yeah, it could be no liens on the property, or even on so let's take a commodities market. This is a good example. So the commodities market, when there's big trades going on, what happens is all the trades are just kind of happening in a computer, and then at the end of the day, the people who run that market are saying, okay, let's even let's settle the score, right?
Yeah.
So they trade this. Like, do they have the money for it? Do they not have the money for it? Is this going to take down the market? A few months ago, the British commodity market, some huge company took a massive margin call, and they were going to completely just if they went down, because the price, I can't remember which commodity it was, but the price shot up because of something that was going on with supply chain disruptions. And this person I think they had shorted it, basically it would have crashed the whole company. And this was like a multinational, multi-billion-dollar company. And because it doesn't settle instantly, when they went back through it, they're like, nope, we need to redo all this stuff. So the people who bet against them didn't actually make money that day, but they maintained the market, right? They kept it afloat. So they want to always have, so that's why the settlement isn't actually settled, right? Which means it can never go back. For right now, it's for a couple of days. Optimally, it would be 1 day, because then they can still do things like that. But if it's over 2 or 3 days, which it is now, you need a lot more collateral to back the calls, right? So the Bank of International Settlement, which does trillions of dollars, with normal technology, they went from T plus transaction plus 3 to settlement, 3 days, to transaction plus 2, and saved, these companies are saving multiple billions of dollars by not needing that extra collateral, right? They want to get down to T plus 1. It's impossible without blockchain. So they're actually creating a private blockchain using security token technology to get it down to T plus 1, right? So if you're an author writing about new technology, or writing about securities, or writing about finances, security tokens are about to completely change things, right? The company that owns the New York Stock Exchange just bought a security token alternate trading system, right? They see this, right? All the major markets, all the major players, they're either buying, building, or acquiring blockchain technologies to do security tokens.
Gosh.
So if you're an entrepreneur, this is a great space to be in. It's a huge market, and there's still needs in there. And then for influencers, right? I mean, this is, again, if you want to be a thought leader, you'd be talking about this kind of stuff.
Wow. Okay. So let's talk about you 2 years ago, because it's probably been 15 months for me, where I really started to get crazy, student of blockchain.
Yeah.
But what was the process for you? Because people that listen to this, hopefully by now they're starting to say, Kary's been talking about this since December. It's June. And hopefully they're starting to see, wow, I'm seeing it on TV. I'm seeing it in the newspaper. I'm seeing it on articles. I think that our world is now essentially becoming more open to onboard to Web3. Mm-hmm. What were some of the signs that you knew this is bigger than just a fad?
Yeah, so I think I had a roommate back in 2012 or something that was telling me about Bitcoin, right? And so from there, I was like, what is this Bitcoin thing, right? But I went in the Marine Corps, so I wasn't thinking about it at all. And then I got out, and I was like, okay. I still was thinking about it, right? And I've been hearing about it more and more, and started hearing about NFTs and securities. And I was like, wow, this applies to a lot. Mm-hmm. So I was just, I was like a shotgun, right? I was spraying, I was learning about everything. Yeah. And I realized that you just can't know about everything. It's too big, right? Blockchain is just an underlying technology. So you have to specialize in the different things that it does.
That's a good.
Yeah. So because I was also interested in real estate, it made sense for me to just really learn more and more about the security token side. So after maybe 5 or 6 months of just like trying to learn everything, I was like, this is too overwhelming. And I just focused in on the security tokens. But I still stay up to date with, with the other big thing I really like is DeFi, centralized finance, and the different protocols being built.
Okay. Like wow. So what is your goal? You're in this space, obviously. You have a company, Sansbank. What do you see your call in life being?
It's so I grew up in some not so great, some okay areas, no financial literacy, right? And my goal is through the blockchain, either providing services like Sansbank, where average investors can get, good returns, or through education, or through, promoting people to look into it, where the average person can have access to these new financial tools and products, and getting people who otherwise would be left out, right? Inclusive into what blockchains bring to their life.
I love it. So it almost seems like when I first started my journey in blockchain, I come to the table with a publishing background. And so immediately that was the lens that I interpreted blockchain through. You're saying you came with a financial illiteracy background, and that's kind of how you viewed blockchain through that lens.
Yeah, exactly. I would say, I when I was in college and then getting out in the Marine Corps, I had a financial advisor who I felt didn't do me right. And once I figured that out, I was like, okay, nobody's help gonna help me. Nobody cares more about my finances than I do.
Wow.
And I just read about stocks and investing and finance and real estate and all this stuff. And I was like, man, like this isn't that hard, like the basic tenets of it. But so many people just aren't taught this, aren't told it, aren't shown what it can do. So I think that was really what drove my passion in this.
Wow. Okay. So as we're looking at authors, entrepreneurs, and influencers, as they're thinking, wow, Josh, I get what he's saying. We talk about in the blockchain space that you go down the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So like you start opening one box, overturning one stone, and then you realize there's 5 more, and then pretty soon your mind's blown, and you're like, oh my gosh, the world's gonna shift with Web3, which is what I literally feel like. So how do you let's talk about how you started your bank. You're solving your business. You're solving problems with blockchain and Web3, and that's what I want to challenge everybody listening today. You are unique from Josh and I. You come from a different space. Maybe we're part of your journey going down the rabbit hole, but I want them to think about, how can I solve a problem? Because I think I did take a few rounds at, well, I'm just going to do this with blockchain, or I'm just going to do that. Like, you want to get involved in the space, but you're not sure how. Right?
Yeah.
Is that absolutely true in the beginning? Like you're just like, oh my gosh, I got to create something, but I don't know what. How did you go from, in my opinion, you didn't say it like this, but how did you go from consumer of blockchain to creator?
Yeah. I mean, I think you put it perfectly, right? That there was a problem. So it starts with just knowledge, and people shouldn't be that worried about like, oh my God, I need to learn this tomorrow, right? There is, I think every facet of society is going to be touched by this somehow, right? And I think there's going to be a lot of difficulties, like any new technology, right? Between mass adoption. So you have time, right? So don't rush in anything. Do your research, every day read a little bit more. And you're going to get to a point where, it starts off with just like everything you read is new, right? Everything you see is new. And then it starts to be like, oh, I'm reading this, but I've heard of this before. And then it's like, oh, actually, I can add to this, right? Maybe that's 6 months. Maybe that's a year later. That's fine. That's totally okay, right?
So it's kind of like what Elon Musk talks about and others, first principles. So my interpretation of that is that he realized rockets were really expensive. So, crud, you can't do SpaceX. What he did is he broke down the parts of the rocket and said, what are the first principles? And then he looked at the principles of the rocket and its foundational elements and then said, oh, we can purchase the separate ingredients and create our own rockets for whatever, I don't know, a tenth of the cost, and then have SpaceX. You're kind of saying that you need to strip down blockchain and do its first principles.
Exactly. Learn the first principles and then find the thing that most interests you and then solve a problem that you have.
Okay.
Right? Because you're still coming from problems. If it's not, there is no problem you're just making to make, right? It might actually be better to not do it with the blockchain. There are some things that are better to do without any blockchain involvement. And so I think there's a lot of people who are like, they just throw blockchain, they slap blockchain on something, and they're like, this is the best thing ever, without having a reason of why they're doing it. So if you have a problem that can be better solved, then you have to understand the problem as well, right? And that's why I say, like, this isn't something you have to jump into tomorrow. Definitely get involved, learn about it, learn the first principles, and then when there's a problem that you're passionate about and it makes sense to apply the blockchain, boom, that's your in.
That's good. Do you remember some of the books, podcasts, videos, authors that you would have read? I know it's probably tough to remember, but anything that kind of stuck out to you that was a good tool in your journey?
Yeah, getting started, I think there was a book about like the history of Ethereum, and they're coming out with a movie of it soon, so maybe just watch the movie.
What was that again?
It's like the history of Ethereum, so like how it got founded, and I want to call it like the Truth Machine. I'm not 100% sure.
Oh yeah, listen, I read the Truth Machine about blockchain. That was mind blowing because it basically said that the transparent immutable ledger allows no one to be able to hide. And
yeah,
I remember that's what I did too. I just said I'm going to read a ton first. I liked The Internet of Money by Andreas Antopolis.
Okay.
That was a very good trilogy. I'm always curious what got people, really into that.
Yeah.
You attend any events?
I have started going to events. Oh, you know what? There's a massive online, I can't remember what the words are, but it's a MOOC. Massive, it's OOC, is course. And it's free from some like Greek or some country over there where it's like a full-on course that you can take over months. So I did that. So, it's taught by, it's like a very stereotypical Greek name. So I'm sure they still do it. And you can there's live lectures, and there's thousands and thousands of people signed up. You can watch the lectures, you can read the stuff.
Yeah.
I think that was a big help in understanding it because you had an educator.
Yeah.
You weren't just like reading stuff on the internet. In that case, it was very structured. That helped a lot.
Yeah. I even went to YouTube and it sounds crazy, but I started taking free MIT courses on blockchain on YouTube.
Nice. Yeah. The head of Algorand, Michele something.
Okay.
He's got a bunch of cool courses.
Wow.
He's an MIT guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's it though. It's like you said, I think we all want to be creators essentially in the beginning because we see the potential. But I like what you're saying. You got to have this good rhythm of consuming and then creating. Let's go to your website. What is your website?
Sansbank.io.
I love that you chose an IO. Talk to me. Why did you choose that?
A lot of tech companies are using IO, so we just kind of use that as a signature. Even though we're in a very conservative or traditional market, which is real estate, we're still technology focused.
Yeah. So talk to me. Walk us through what people will see if they go to sansbank.io?
Yeah, so what you see there is basically our tagline, right? Fractionalized assets for everyday owners and investors. So we are actually not ownership of real estate, but lending to commercial real estate. And we fractionalize those so that it's a new type of loan, right? So it's a new type of capital for multifamily owners, and it's a new way of investing for the average person, where they can get yield from multifamily. And you'll see our intro video with our logo is an owl. I love our little owl. So
Yeah.
he's our spokesman. So you can watch the video.
Sweet.
Yeah. And then, as you go down, you see kind of like the features for the borrowers and the investors, and then some of our partners, right? So we have blockchain partners, real estate partners, and law partners.
Wow.
This
is pretty new.
Yes. Yeah. So we launched this probably only a few months ago. If people check it out, sign up and get our newsletter, and we're thinking about doing a crowdfunding round so that, that get updated on when that comes out. And then if you click on use cases, so like for borrowers, right, basically what we're doing is we're using their profit as collateral as opposed to their equity, which is good for cash flowing assets that maybe someone only purchased recently. And then they can expand to increase that cash flow or buy new properties. And then if you scroll down some more to here we go. So then for the average investor, right? So this is kind of what I was talking about earlier, is getting that average person access to something that's super reliable, which are these commercial real estate loans that have pretty good yield, right? Where we target 8% plus. And it's something where they just go in, they buy the tokens, they get their yield. We can reinvest it for them if they want. And then whenever, most real estate investments, you buy it for 5 years or more, right? And you're kind of locked in. With us, because it's through the blockchain, kind of what I was talking about earlier, it's liquid. So it's kind of like a bond that's also liquid, and it's backed by commercial real estate.
So explain that yield and token, because again, I don't want people to miss out.
Yeah.
A little bit about that.
Yeah, actually, I'm glad you asked that, because so a token is just a bundle of smart contracts.
Okay.
And most people see that as a cryptocurrency, but these are security tokens. So our smart contracts are around the compliance I was talking about earlier. So they have nothing to do with crypto. All their value comes from the underlying asset. So our underlying asset are bundles of loans. Okay. So that way we're reducing risk because we're bundling the loans together. And the tokens are just saying, like, you own this piece of that bundle, and that allows you to get this percentage of the yield every single month. And so what we do, because it's all decentralized, right? So we don't even have to do this. We just monitor everything. Once we issue the loan, the property owners pay it back. That repayment instantly goes into the pool with all the other properties that are paying it back. Smart contracts calculate how much each token investor gets from that pool and automatically distributes it to them. Okay. So it's all, So it's all done. So that's what I mean. Token is it's just a share, right? But it's written on the blockchain.
Interesting. Okay. Well, this is fascinating. Now, did you, when you move into this type of product, do you need any type of certification or training, or talk to me a little bit about that?
Yeah. So you just need, like I said, this is a security, right? So you have to work with legal professionals on building out the right paperwork to file with the SEC, right? So that's what we're doing. And then on the lending side, there are some, lending licenses depending on the state. Like in California, there's a California lending license. And then we make sure we work with real estate advisors, those partners that we showed on the website, to ensure that the underwriting is good, and we're building into the technology so that everything makes sense.
Perfect. Well, this is great, man. And you say that when people sign up for the, what do you call it? The newsletter, they're going to get up-to-date information.
Yeah, so they'll get information about the company. They'll get first access when the app launches, right? We're looking to launch a website app in three months, and then a full mobile app in 8 months. They'll get any updates or anything that I'm seeing in the crypto space as well as the real estate space. I wrote an article and published it today about cap rates, interest rates, and what I see is going to be happening in the next few months. So they'll see stuff like that.
Perfect. Well, Josh, thanks for reaching out, and I love to hear people's Web3 journey. So that was kind of cool to hear how you wanted to solve problems, and you became a student first, which I think is huge. And thanks for serving in the military as well.
I appreciate that. I appreciate you having me on board, and I encourage all your listeners to get out there. It's one of the only industries where you can just go. All the information's online. You can teach yourself, and you can take it wherever you want to go. Right. So find your passion, learn about it, and get involved. Let's accelerate the spread of Web3.
That's awesome. All right, Josh. Thanks so much for being here.
Cool. Thanks, Kary.